Hey guys, I had full intention of doing like a card reading this morning, but life happens. I had a death in the family a couple days ago, and not going to go into too many details, but it was one of my mom's younger brothers. My mom passed a while back, and his wife had passed a while back, and so just anytime there's something like that happens in the family, kind of have to organize things, and you don't know when you're going to be needing to do certain things. So obviously I'm not prioritizing YouTube videos, but I'm here now, just because I want to talk about what leads to these, what really leads to death and pain, and I it's taken me a long time to really understand it. Takes a long, I mean, because when you're blind to something, it means that you're blind to it. You don't know. Um, every dysfunction uh, that we have in this world comes from trying to place our happiness, or and I've talked about this a little bit, but I mean, when you're trying to place any emotional state based on somebody else's. Now, it's easy to accept nature for the way it is, right? Go out there and accept nature. I mean, I joked about this with my coffee lady this morning because I was talking to her about something similar. Because, if you work in retail, you deal with people all the time, right? I mean, you deal with people who are sometimes they're just jerks, right? And so you kind of have to figure out how to deal with them, to try and be as nice as possible. And there's a lot of people that will blame you for the way that they feel, and and they're not doing it consciously most of the time. A lot of times, and usually this is the number one dysfunction for young couples when they get in relationships, right? Because you're thinking you got to get in this relationship so that you think that person's going to make you happy. Nobody can make you happy. If you haven't figured out how to make yourself happy, regardless of what anybody else is doing, you will run into dysfunction in that relationship. If you're always looking on the external, now this goes to very deep levels. This is like all the way down to like food and weather, right? If you're upset because it's raining, why? Why are you letting something external affect your state of being? If you haven't mastered yourself to a place where you can be happy no matter what no matter what they're projecting on you, you can transmute anything in the body, and there is nothing that can harm you at that point. At the same time, you've got to have empathy for people that don't understand that, right? Our whole society is based on external gratification, right? But it happens at so many deep levels, right? I mean, when we're born, if we're in very destructive environments and you're constantly have to ground out negative energy, it's too easy to see that you're a victim of that environment, right? Because I've this and this has happened to me, but the reality is those people were harming themselves. They didn't realize it because they were lashing out. They were just repeating old cycles that have been happening for thousands of years. Animal nature, feeding on your environment, right? If you can get to a place where now there's two dysfunctions that happen there, right? There's when if you're producing a lot of healing energy trying to heal yourself, and other people aren't doing the same for themselves, and they're starting to blame you for the way that they're feeling, then first of all you have to have empathy for that. But at the same time, if you allow it to continue, then you're not doing them any favors, right? If you continue to allow that to happen, then now my uncle, I was talking to my brother about this the other day. We were just reminiscing about old family, Christmas parties and stuff. And man, I'll be the first one to tell you, pretty dysfunctional. The Johnsons, we were old Swedes, and man, they would fight, drink, blame each other for everything. Just, Uncle Mike, he's this and that, right? Just angry. And it's all exterior, all outside world. It's all so screwed up, right? But is it? Is it screwed up at all? It's the nature of the beast to feed on itself. And so, right? Why would we be mad about an animal feeding on itself? Now, you don't have to be an animal. You don't have to reach out there to feel that person or thing or object is going to make you happy if it doesn't act a certain way. Because if you do, if you fall into that trap, you will try to control that thing, that person, to try and fit an image in your mind that is not real. It's an illusion. It all breaks down to two simple paths, right? What is it that I can do for you? Versus, what is it that you can do for me to make me happy? Right? So the latter makes you want to control the actions and things of other people. The prior puts you into a state where, but if you allow somebody to use you as their happiness, you're not helping them. You will never be able to help somebody by letting them use you as their happiness. They'll suck right out of your sacral chakra, and you will become ill. I've my decentralized decision-making stuff. I realized just within the last week that it was just like, wow, that really is not the ultimate answer for what I'm trying to do. Self-mastery is everything. And once you can heal yourself and you really understand that there's only you, it doesn't matter at any time what anybody else is doing, you should be able to show unconditional love for anybody. But at the same time, don't allow them to keep pouring their, it's like, hey, no. If the first thing I would recommend you ask somebody, if they're trying, why is it that you're letting me affect the way you feel? What do I have? Now, I'll be the first one to say, hey, I'm sorry. But eventually you'll realize at the deepest level that none of us ever have had anything to feel sorry for. Either we acted like animals and tried to place our state of being on the outside world, not understanding that that's what we were doing, so we were unconscious of it. So what is there to... If I'm unconscious of something, why do I need to ask for forgiveness? I'm ignorant of it. And if I am not ignorant, if I'm aware, then I won't act that way. There's never anything ever to be... Because if anybody blames you for something, of the way they feel, they're unconscious of it. What is there to forgive? I'm not going to forgive somebody for not mastering themselves. I'm not going to ask for forgiveness for something that they're unconscious of. Because, for one thing, if you say I'm sorry, you are actually encouraging the idea that it's your fault that they're not happy. Should you even say you're sorry? I got to be honest. My views on reality have changed so much in the last couple months. Just like, wow. Right? Because when you get to a place where you can transmute all pain in the body and you're no longer in any kind of pain, no matter what's going on outside or what everybody else is doing, your views on things start to change a lot. Right? And the best thing you can do is stay in balance, stay in your creative energy, keep creating. Because if you stop doing that, right, now you're falling out of your balance and creative energy, and learning how to become at peace at all times. You could do it. I mean, I thought about doing it. Can I imagine? I had this conversation with my brother as well. Imagine laying in bed and just being at peace for, trying to stay in a state of rest. You can't do it, man. I've never made a 24-hour period, ever. Please put in the comments if you have ever laid in one position for more than 24 hours at a time. I've gone over 12 for sure, but never 24. I've never made it from like 10 a.m. one day to 10 a.m. the next, right? Or go to bed at midnight and just stay in bed until midnight the next day. No way. There's no way I could. I get too restless. I got too much pent-up energy. You can call it vibration. I don't know. But, and this is what happens when you come to understand these things and you realize that you're not doing anybody any service by allowing them to place their state of being on your state of being. As soon as you block that off, your vibration will raise. Pow. Psychic abilities will heighten because your discernment gets much higher. You can see everything the way it's working, no matter who you run into, where, when, why. You'll understand what they're thinking, why, how it's. So, yeah. We'll never be able to work together as a society unless people get to a state of mastery where they stop trying to feed off of each other in some way, right? Energetically, where we're placing our emotional states on each other. Like, I'm not going to be happy unless you do this or you do that. Like, you're not. Right? Just you become a creator. And teach this, right? Because you have to teach people how to heal themselves and master themselves in this way, because there's no way you can coach it. Because if you tried to sell a service for somebody to do that and they saw you once a week, you'd be not helping them. Because I just ran into a therapist that just went through this same thing over 15 years. She quit being a therapist because she found out that the only reason that people paid her money was because they didn't want to take responsibility for the way they felt. Literally. You can teach somebody how to feel better, rest, love yourself. And if they don't accept it, then yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. Either you're going to create and co-create under, self-mastery, or you'll try and sell yourself in some way. And selling is all about manipulation in emotional states, right? You're trying to manipulate the exterior world so that you can feed off of it. This is why money, people have had such a hard time with the concept of money for so many years. And money in and of itself is not bad, but you're not going to find a YouTube video or anybody explaining it this way, because the only reason money exists is because somebody made a judgment about their exterior and felt like they needed to. It has to do with, instead of just cutting somebody off and allowing them to master themselves, chose to feed off of them instead and take advantage of their inability to master themselves. And you're doing it unconsciously because it comes from an inability to master yourself. Very deep psychological stuff, right? Massive generational trauma that's coming to light here in the last days of this age. So, for any of you watching this video, I encourage you to master yourselves and get in your creative energy. Create anything. And if you're enabling somebody to feel better, and you're allowing them to take advantage of you because you're the one that makes them feel better, just tell them to take care of themselves. And you love them unconditionally. But make sure they're, encourage them to do the work. And if they don't want to do the work, then that's okay. And that's why my uncle died. He was, before the end, he was able to unload a lot of that trauma. Right? You kind of make amends, and you do the right things for yourself to make sure that, because the last thing any of us want is parents or children or brothers or sisters or siblings or ex-lovers. It doesn't matter who it is. The last thing we want to do is try and make people feel like they hurt us at all. That we didn't understand that the pain that we felt was all our own fault, and we blamed each other for something that we didn't do. Right? We just didn't, and that's true. The only person that's ever harmed yourself is yourself, and that's ultimately like Job's story in the Bible. That's the number one lesson of Job that is one of the hardest ones to pick up there. Why was Job a righteous man? If you guys are familiar with the Bible at all and you're watching this, because from the beginning, Job was a righteous man. He went through massive suffering. But the only reason he was a righteous man was because he did not blame other people for the way he felt. Woe is me, right? And he was so hard on himself. But when he finally stopped punishing himself, that's the end of the book. And it's the only book in the Bible that reveals that God is the one that brings justice, the one that, yeah. I mean, we're all mirrors for one another. So, the only person that can condemn you is you. Love you guys. I don't want to take some time to make this short video because I didn't get a chance to do it this morning. And, yeah. Have a great day.